This is a Bergen Film Club podcast.
Like an old movie removed from the frame, I am floating and looking for someone to blame. Won't you project me on the walls of your heart? I'm waiting for the real thing to start.
Hello, welcome to The Real Thing. I'm your host Joe Lawrence, and we're back for a whole new exciting season of The Real Thing for season 3. I'm joined by most repeated guest, who I can't get rid of, but I won't have it any other way, Caroline Tranberg. Welcome back.
Hello.
Woo.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, of course.
I'm back.
My favorite guest.
Yeah, better be.
Mm,
No,
But
you
yeah.
just say that because you're in my apartment right now, and
yeah,
I would kick you out
yeah,
on the street if you didn't.
that sounds like you.
Exactly.
But here we are,
Here we are.
season 3.
Let's go.
I know. Been a long
That's-
time of podcasting.
Yeah,
Many hours
many hours.
of just me speaking.
Yeah, but you're doing so great.
Yay, thank
It's
you.
so lovely.
So to mark a new season, I'm
Mhm.
announcing that we're making some changes to the format of the podcast, and they're so minor, so no one has to worry. We're going to be releasing 2 episodes a week now.
Whoop, whoop.
Still every Monday there will be an episode in the normal routine of talking about the films that are in the film club's program, why you should go see them, or just to get more information after you've seen them. That will be out every Monday, and we're getting rid of Recommendations Corner on Monday. It's being executed
No.
and then being brought back to life 3 days later, Jesus style,
Oh.
on Thursdays. But Thursday will be kind of like a recommendations corner, but it'll be a bit longer than we normally do on the podcast, but still will be quite just a short mini episodes to sort of check in with what the board wants the people of the world or the people of the world to watch.
We are Mr. Worldwide, and we want
I
to
mean,
share.
this podcast is technically international.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get listens from outside of Norway
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Hi.
by people that I don't know. Hi.
Hi. How
Well,
you doing? We're
Hope you're
talking to
doing
you.
well.
Leave a frog in the comments if you're from outside of Norway.
Yeah, that's the official emoji of The Real Thing, is the frog emoji.
Yeah.
And also the official emoji of Bergen Film Club
Yeah, it is. It's
is
great.
the frog emoji.
Yeah.
So, today we're talking about the opener for our new
Yes.
program, our new semester, which is The Ghost in the Shell
Mhm.
from 1995.
Not the Scarlett Johansson one.
I was just going to say, I just want to preface before we get into any Ghost in the Shell,
Mhm.
we are only referring to the movie, the 1995 anime movie.
Yes.
Because I know there is a manga and there is another film and
yeah,
there's
they
a
have
sequel,
a sequel.
and there's a series
Yeah.
and there is also a 2017 movie adaptation with Scarlett Johansson, and we're not talking about any of that. We're
Mm-mm.
just talking about the 1995 movie.
Yes.
So to begin, I'm just going to talk at Carolina and you, dear listener, just about the background of this film, and then we're going to get into some themes as per classic style. I feel like I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page
Yes.
since we're starting a new year, 2024. How exciting.
Oh, so
Yeah.
exciting.
Do you have a New Year's resolution?
I want to look at more bugs and birds.
Oh,
Just take in
yeah.
things around me. I watched the Disney film Soul,
Mm-hmm.
which was really good. Is it Disney or is it Pixar? It's
Disney,
the same
Pixar.
thing. Disney
Yeah.
Pixar. And I was like, damn, I need to appreciate things around me a lot more than I do. So
Yeah.
basically that.
I think we could all stand to do that
Yes.
a bit more. I'm not going to tell you mine. So, the background of Ghost in the Shell. So Ghost in the Shell is a 1995 adult animated neo-noir cyberpunk thriller film directed by Mamoru Oshii and adapted by frequent Oshii collaborator Kazunori Ito. The film is based on the manga of the same name by Masamune Shiro. It stars the voices of Atsuko Tanaka, Akio Otsuka, and Iemasa Kayumi. It is a Japanese-British international co-production, executive produced by Kodansha, Bandai Visual and Manga Entertainment, with animation provided by Production IG and a screenplay by Kazunori Ito. The film is set in 2029 in Japan and follows Motoko Kusanagi, a cyborg public security agent who hunts an enigmatic hacker/ghost known as the Puppet Master. The narrative incorporates philosophical themes that focus on self-identity in a technologically advanced world. The music, composed by Kenji Kawai, includes vocals in classical Japanese. The film's visuals were created through a combination of traditional cel animation and CGI animation. Would you like to try and briefly explain the concept of a ghost for the listener?
I
watched the film most
I watched the
recently.
film. So a ghost, to me, it felt like a ghost was like basically the soul, or
Mhm.
like what's left of the person.
The fleshy, squishy part of a person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like the soul and what is human left.
Yeah.
Is how I interpreted it. And
Yeah. So pretty much everyone in this world, more or less, is kind of a cyborg.
Yeah, at least the police.
The police.
Yeah.
And maybe also some quote-unquote normal
Yeah.
people too.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems that like the human brain or something can be transplanted into different
Yeah, that
shells,
yeah.
which
They
is
can switch
basically what
around.
is a body is referred to as now. It's
Yeah.
a shell
Mm-hmm.
to be filled with a soul
Or a ghost.
or a ghost.
Yeah.
Yes. Upon release, Ghost in the Shell received positive reviews, with critics praising its narrative, visuals, and musical score. The film was initially considered a box office failure before developing a cult following on home video. Since then, it has grown in esteem and is now considered to be one of the best anime and science fiction films of all time. It inspired filmmakers such as the Wachowski sisters, creators of the Matrix films. James Cameron described it as, quote, the first truly adult animation film to reach a level of literacy and visual excellence compared to normal media, end
Mhm.
quote, which I think is an insane thing to say, because that's so not true. So you watched this film very recently. We
I
should
did.
just preface, sorry, shut up Carolina. We should preface that this film was suggested for the program by our volunteer coordinator,
Yes,
Rust.
it was.
Yes. Who
But
is not here.
no.
Yeah.
You got me instead.
I do have Caroline instead, because as the resident anime girly, I thought no one else could do a better job than talk about this movie.
Wow, that is a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Especially from an anime girly that started getting into anime pretty late in her life. But
Mm.
still an anime girly. I have a lot of anime figurines around in my room.
Yeah.
They're behind you, looking at you.
Okay.
No, yeah, I was really excited to see this movie. I gotta say, I did watch it in English. That
Mhm.
was not what I wanted, but it was what was accessible for me
Mm.
at the time. So I watched with the English dub. That was an interesting dub. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I usually don't mind, just to put it out there. I don't care if you watch anime with subs or dubs. You do what you do. I
Mhm.
hate that. Like, you're not a real anime fan if you watch dub. Stop it.
Mhm.
Get a life. But there are dubs that are better than others, and I
Yeah.
still want to acknowledge that. So I am very excited to see it again in Japanese.
Absolutely.
But what I still enjoyed the film, and I thought the animation was incredible. I love that animation style. I think that like 90s animation kind of sci-fi style is so cool. It's kind of similar to Neon Genesis, which
Mhm.
I haven't seen everything of, but I still really like the animation style. I think it's super cool. So
This has just given me memories of the first ever podcast episode that we did, because we talked about Not me and you, sorry. That I did.
You did. Because I was like, wait, did we talk about anime?
Probably we've talked about anime before. The first episode that we did on Your Name, when we had the guest Matthew Beatty on, and we talked about Neon Genesis and like how like a dub and a sub can create a completely different experience
Yeah, totally.
of a movie, and they used the Neon Genesis as an example of a dub being bad.
Yeah, the Scream. The
Yes.
Shinji.
Whoa. So on that note, let's talk a bit about the development of this film. So Mamoru Oshii originally wanted to direct a movie, Jinro, The Wolf Brigade, after he finished Patlabor 2, the movie, in 1993. He proposed the project to Bandai Visual and was asked to direct an adaptation of Masamune Shiro's 1989 manga, Ghost in the Shell, instead. Oshii would later go on to work on Jinro, but only as a writer. He stated, quote, "My intuition told me that this is a story about a futuristic world carried an immediate message for our present world. I'm also interested in computers, through my own personal experience with them. I had the same feeling about Patlabor, and I thought it would be interesting to make a film that took place in the near future. There are only a few movies, even out of Hollywood, which clearly portray the influence and power of computers. I thought this theme would be more effectively conveyed through animation," end quote. Oshii explained on these thoughts in a later interview, noting that technology changes people and had become a part of culture, especially in Japan. He commented that his use of philosophy caused producers to become frustrated because of the sparing use of action scenes. Oshii also acknowledged that a movie with more action would sell better, but he continued to make these movies anyway. When Oshii went back to make changes to the original Ghost in the Shell to re-release it as Ghost in the Shell 2.0, one of the reasons he gave was that the film did not resemble the sequel, and that he wanted to update the film to reflect changes in perspective. Because this film does, it does use action quite sparingly. It's a lot of like brooding and a lot of like creating an atmosphere, very like Blade Runner.
Yes, it is. But I think that's very fitting to the movie. And like, I did read someone talking about the film, and they said that the film felt so slow sometimes because there was very long scenes, like just creating atmosphere.
Yeah.
But I think that it's so cool. I love when films do that.
Absolutely.
You get to kind of soak up what is happening in front of you.
Yeah.
So
they're seeing sort of, I think it's kind of midway through the movie when Motoko is coming back into the city on a boat, and it's just playing this like really incredible score, and it's literally just kind of like different visuals of the city as she's going through it. And I remember I was like, this scene is long. It's pretty long, but it like creates an atmosphere, and it's kind of like that you're in this like super advanced state of society, but it's so bleak at the same time, and that's really felt through the whole thing, because it's like almost always nighttime, and it's almost always raining.
It's gray, but still very
neon at the same time.
It's very cool.
Like the natural part of the world is very dead in a way, and it's like the electronics and the computers is like the bright shiny part. So on that note, the production, I've divided up into some sections to talk about the design, the animation, and the audio and the score. So for design, Hiroyuki Okiura, the character designer and key animation supervisor, decided to design Motoko to be more mature and more serious than in the original portrayal of her in the manga. Okiura chose to depict a physically mature person to match Motoko's mental age instead of her youthful 20-something appearance in the manga. Motoko's demeanor lacks the comedic facial expressions and rebellious nature depicted in the manga, instead taken on a more wistful and contemplative personality. Oshii based the setting of Ghost in the Shell on Hong Kong, commenting that his first thought was to find an image of a future world was setting it in an Asian city, but finding a suitable cityscape of the future would be impossible, and so he chose the real streets of Hong Kong as his model. He also said that Hong Kong was the perfect subject and theme for the film, as its countless signs and cacophony of sounds matched the film's vibe. He didn't say vibe, I'm saying vibe. The film's mecha designer, Takeuchi Atsushi, noted that while the film does not have a chosen setting, it's obviously based on Hong Kong because the city represents the theme of the film, the old and the new, which exist in a strange relationship and age of information deluge. Before shooting the film, the artist drew sketches that emphasize Hong Kong's chaotic, confusing, and overwhelming aspects. So as you mentioned, the animation is pretty special in this film. It used, and I'm gonna be like so smart right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna use so many like phrases
Okay.
and words.
I'm
Yeah.
so excited.
Ghost in the Shell used a novel process called digitally generated animation, or DGA, which is a combination of cell animation, computer graphics, CG, and audio that is entered as digital data or code. In 1995, DGA was thought to be the future of animation as it allowed traditional animation to be combined with computer graphics and digital cell work with visual displays. Editing was performed on an Avid system of Avid technology, which was chosen because it was more versatile and less limiting than other methods and worked with different types of media in a single environment. The digital cell work included both original illustrations, compositions, and manipulation with traditional cell animation to create a sense of depth and evoke emotion and feeling. Filters like lens effects were used to create a sense of depth and motion by distorting the front background and making the far background out of focus throughout the shots. Ghost in the Shell used a unique lighting system in which light and darkness were integrated into cells, with attention to light and shadow sources instead of using contrasting control of the light. Art director Hirosawa Ogura described this as a very unusual lighting technique. Some of the effects, such as Motoko's thermal optical camouflage when she goes invisible, were rendered through the use of a Tima software. The process uses a single illustration and manipulates the image as necessary to produce distortions for effect in combination with a background without altering the original illustration. The effect is then re-added back into the shot to complete the scene. While the visual displays used in the film were technically simple to create, the appearance of the displays underwent numerous revisions by the production team to best represent visual displays of the future. Another aspect of CG use was to create images and effects that looked as if they were perceived by the brain, and were generated in video and added to the film in its final stages. The opening credits of the film, which I thought was very cool, were produced by CG director Seiichi Tanaka. Tanaka converted code in a computer language displayed in the Tanaka converted code in a computer language displayed in romanized Japanese letters to numbers before inserting them into the computer to generate the credits. The origin of this code is the names of the film's staff as written in a computer language. Animation director Mitsuo Nishikubo was responsible for the realism and strove for the accurate depictions of movement and effect. The pursuit of realism included staff conducting firearms research at a facility in Guam. Super weird. Nishikubo has highlighted the tank scene as an example of the movie's realism, noting that bullets create sparks when hitting metal, but do not spark when the bullet strikes stone. So there's a lot of like actual revolutionary technology used in this movie.
It's still like, when you describe it, I'm still like, it's from 1995. What do you mean? It's so cool and ahead of its time, really.
And the effect is obviously, I mean, like the outcome is great, and so cool that they kind of took such a computerized approach to making a film like this.
No, it's really cool. It feels like everything is just so thought out from like every little thing about the project. It's very cool,
very well produced.
So
lastly, before we move on to themes and kind of main discussion, I want to talk about the audio, because this film has a very good score, and a lot of effort was put in to make it sound real. Ghost in the Shell's recording was done with a high-end studio to achieve superior sound throughout the film. A spatializer was used to alter the sound, specifically in the electronic brain conversations, to modify the voices. Composer Kenji Koei scored the film. For the main theme, Koei tried to imagine the setting and convey the essence of that world in the music. He used classical Japanese in the opening theme, Making of a Cyborg. The composition is a mixture of Bulgarian harmony and traditional Japanese notes. The haunting chorals are a wedding song sung to dispel all evil influences. Symphony conductor Sarah Panicka-Smith notes that the song's lyrics are fitting for the union between Kusanagi and Project 2501 at the climax of the movie. Spoiler. Koei originally wanted to use Bulgarian folk music singers, but used Japanese folk singers instead. See You Every Day is different from the rest of the soundtrack, being a pop song sung in Cantonese by Fang Ka-wing. The ending credits theme of the film's English version is 1 Minute Warning by Passengers, a collaboration between everyone's favorite music duo, U2 and Brian Eno.
Yes.
The song appeared on the album Original Soundtracks 1 and was of 3 songs on that album to actually be featured in a film. Andy Frayne, the founder of Manga Entertainment and the executive producer on the film, was a former marketing director for Island Records, the record label that produces U2 songs. So that's how they kind of got involved.
Mm-hmm.
But it does sound very cool. And like we said, like, I don't know how familiar you are with the Bulgarian women's choir.
I'm not, unfortunately.
Okay. But they have like, I think 4 or 5 really like fire albums.
Okay.
I have to say. And like I've been listening to them since I was like 15.
Whoa.
Yeah,
okay.
but I love them, so it was like super
Yeah.
exciting to hear that like influence for me in the in the opening scenes and like throughout the film, because their voices, like when they sing, it's like beautiful and really eerie at the same time.
It's almost a bit haunting. Yeah.
It's kind of scary in a way, like, and obviously like I don't understand Bulgarian at all, but that like their choice to use like a wedding song is kind of, I feel like that's another element of where you can tell that so much thought's been put into the movie. It's really impressive, and I think you notice that a lot in anime, or at least the animes that we've talked about on the podcast, is that like it's such a cohesive production. Like every single person is like almost as involved in the film as the writer or the director.
Yeah, but it takes a lot of people to get this to work.
Yeah.
There's so many animators usually, and everyone has to be on the same page in a way.
Yeah.
And agree on how things are going to look, how it's going to feel, how it's very like it feels more that the whole crew is more connected in a way.
Absolutely.
Because they have to be. Of course, in a film, when you make like not an anime but a live action film, you have like the crew who films, and then it goes over to the editor, and it's still like connected by the director and the writer. But in anime, here's like all of them have to be connected because it's so specific, everything is so thought out in a different way.
I just think it makes such like an exciting experience to watch, and especially with animation just in general, like it always feels so cohesive.
Yeah, it has to be. You can't have like
exactly.
different drawing styles throughout the movie. It has to be like so. Yeah.
Absolutely. Kind of hate that U2 was involved in this film, but
we don't think about that.
I guess I have not seen the English dub, so I'm safe.
I didn't think about it with U2, honestly. I don't really think about U2 a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone thinks about U2 a little bit since they forced themselves onto every single iPhone in the world.
That's true. That is actually true.
They're the real ghost in the show.
They are.
Yeah. So let's touch on some themes, then we can get in some sort of like general discussion, because another throwback to many 1 year ago.
Yeah.
Many 1 year ago.
Many 1 year.
We had you on the podcast for the first time talking about...
I talked about Tickled, but we
Tickled,
got into my master thesis.
And then we talked about your AI involvement. Not only is she an anime girl, she's an AI girl.
I want to be, but no one wants to give me a job in AI and ethics where I want to work.
Maybe this podcast episode.
Maybe.
You can put it on your CV.
Oh, I will.
Like type out the hyperlink.
Yeah. Like, here we go.
So this is some sort of like general themes, and so sorry if it's a bit like non-specific. The film explores the nature of human cyborgs, consciousness, self-aware computer programs, and memory alteration. In one of the monologues delivered by the puppet master throughout the film, it is argued that the human DNA is nothing more than a program designed to self-preserve. There are also multiple mentions of the act of granting political asylum to self-aware computer programs. The film depicts Motoko's identity and ontological concerns and ends with the evolution of the puppet master, a being without reproduction. Austin Corbett characterized the lack of sexualization from her team as freedom from femininity, noting that Motoko is overtly female and clearly non-female. In describing Motoko as shapely and strong female protagonist at the center of the story who is nevertheless almost continuously nude, Roger Ebert noted that an article about anime in a recent issue of Film Quarterly suggests that to be a salaryman in modern Japan is so exhausting and dehumanizing that many men, who form the largest part of the animation audience, project both freedom and power onto women and identify with them as fictional characters. What do you think about that?
I don't know.
Just before I finish this paragraph, it just like this, I told Carolina that I had something like insane to say.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a wild and really interesting kind of idea.
Yeah.
That like an anime woman is everything that a salaryman wants to be.
But I kind of get the connection in a way, because it's so normalized in Japan. It seems like that men just fall asleep outside after work because they don't have time to sleep properly, and it's like it's such a intense working culture, it seems like, from a person who has not been to Japan but can only tell from like what I've seen online and heard about it. And I know, I guess a lot of anime women are portrayed as very free, and I mean, it always depends on the anime.
For sure.
But yeah, interesting. That's a very interesting...
it's like not a connection that I ever really thought of, I guess.
And at the same time, the men in anime is still very free. Yeah. Why the women?
Boobs.
I was going to say, it's the boobs. They want the boobs.
Yeah. Carl Silvio has called Ghost in the Shell a resistant film due to its inversion of traditional gender roles in its valorization of the post-gendered subject and its de-emphasis on the sexual specificity of the material body. Yeah. So, I guess in a way, her gender, the fact that she has a female body, isn't ever really it's not such like a point to make.
It's not really acknowledged.
No.
Kind of. Because it's interesting that they chose to give her huge titties and a very dainty body. Yeah. Which is fine. You can still be a strong woman with a dainty body. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I feel like when you're making these, like, especially police, that's supposed to be like very strong, very and advanced, since it's not a real person, it's a type of AI and robot. Why do you make like, if I was a cop, my boobs would be in the way. Like, honestly, I think having boobs would be in the way for doing some of the things that she is doing. It's not shown that they are in the way, but they would be in the way. So it's interesting how they make it, like, instead of making her this optimal body, they make her this, like, very male gazy body. But at the same time, they don't acknowledge it, which is very interesting. It's not really... None of the people around her really cares.
Yeah. And herself, like, Motoko, has such an apparent, like, disconnect from her own body. Like, it's not something that she sees as sexual or even something that she necessarily has much of a connection with. You see in the film that she's, like, not afraid of being completely naked.
No, she will just get undressed and get completely naked and do insane things completely naked. And it's kind of only when her partner, what is his name again? Batu. Yeah. He kind of covers her up. Yeah. Sometimes he takes his jacket and cover her, but she still doesn't really acknowledge. That was scary. She still doesn't really acknowledge the fact that she is nude, and it's... There's
almost like, I feel like with her, there's almost like a disinterest in her body, and in the fact that in this society, in the movie, like a body can be replaced so easily.
Yeah,
like a body is just a body.
It's nothing really.
Yeah, like she is willing to push herself to the extremes and even like break her own cyborg body because there is no connection,
No.
mind-body connection there, that like she can be fixed, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And
But it's the mind that is what can't be fixed. That's what needs to be preserved, but the body itself can be destroyed.
Yeah, it's kind of like, which is why it's fitting that you kind of call it a shell, because I feel like it's, yeah, like when this is very weird way to compare the two, but you know when like a crab that has a shell or a snail get too big, they just dump it and leave it to the next person and get a new one, bigger one that fits them better.
Yeah.
They're not really connected to that at all. It feels like it's kind of, oh, this body doesn't work anymore, or this shell doesn't work anymore. I'm just gonna. That was. Oh, I don't know where I was going with that one. That was just.
This is your new nature connection.
Yes.
In 2024.
I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's it. But yeah, it's like so disconnected and so like don't care at all about anything, which must be so nice. just saying.
Yeah. There's something that we can like briefly touch on because it's not necessarily something that I feel I have authority to talk on, but there is a kind of trans allegory that has been brought up and kind of identified with this film, kind of based on Motoko's disconnect with her own body. And actually in the manga, so towards the end of the movie, Motoko makes the decision to fuse and create a new being with Project 2501, and the body that she ends up in the manga is not a young child as it is in the film, but it's rather like a male body that presents female.
Oh,
yeah,
that's kind of cooler.
Yeah. So it's definitely, and I've been reading a lot that it's like, and if it's something people want to look into more, then I was going to link to a lot of articles that I did read. But you can definitely see the connection there, like a disparity between the kind of, because you see Motoko in one scene moving through the city, that boat scene that I mentioned, and she sees another person with her exact same body. Yeah. And obviously it's a different person inside, but it's like the body is a commodity and it doesn't really matter how you look. It's like how you feel on the inside, and obviously I want to really express how you feel on the inside, which is very important and very and has inspired so many, like the Wachowski sisters who made The Matrix, and that's like just movies about being trans and the trans experience as well. Yeah. But I think also for me, this film, in a way, is sort of trying to sort of subvert like a female expectation in a way that we see in so many sci-fi movies what women can be. Yeah. And I think even though she is female and like kind of confusingly, like I was reading a whole thing about like the point of a shell is that they're not supposed to be able to reproduce. Yeah. And in that way, then that's like the freedom for women, like they're escaping a kind of a predestined thing that's expected of them. Yeah. Or like, but then if they have that desire, then a ghost in the shell cannot reproduce, and in that way, it's like creating new life from nothing when she fuses with the project. Yeah. I guess. But like she does kind of like overtly quote unquote masculine things, and she is like very muscular, and she is like represented as a woman, but she's kind of not following the normal gender roles as society has made for women. She is very strong, she's very athletic, she's very
like she just throws herself off
Yeah.
a huge building and
Mhm.
like shoots people. It's like, yep, that's
Yeah.
yeah, which women can do, but it's not like, especially in 1995, the gender roles I felt was a lot more like women do this, men do this type of thing.
Yeah. But I think it was just sort of like an interesting point to kind of touch on, because I think
Mhm.
we have spoken about it before, about like the use of like violence towards women in this genre and horror, as well as like that's such a key tool. And like this article that I read, written by Andrew McGee, who's a filmmaker, the article is called Ghost in the Shell, Cyberpunk and Female Body Autonomy. He was talking about like in such recent like sci-fi movies and horrors that like there's just kind of like a huge uptick in violence towards women. And especially in the scene in Ghost in the Shell when she is kind of she's on the tank and she's like pulling it so hard that she breaks her own body.
Yeah.
But he was saying that's more of like like I said, like a rejection or like acknowledgement that her body doesn't matter.
Yeah.
In a way. And
Yeah.
that's some sort of female liberation front.
Yeah, I get that, because like I think a lot of people think that the female body is only made for one thing, and that's reproduce.
I think that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
That like they escaped that.
Yeah. And
in a way.
being freed from that expectation, it must be nice. But yeah, I definitely see that. Yeah. That point.
This was a very good, very, very good article.
Yeah.
It's it helped like kind of contextualize a lot of stuff with what I was trying to think and say. So I got a lot of information from it for sure. But also just like there is like a blur of gender, and it's like in the manga, I don't know if it was said in the movie, but like it's said that Motoko has had different bodies.
Yeah.
Like her ghost is always the same.
Yeah,
but the body can be different, and that's just like a that again is like kind of like a gender rejection in a way. And the same with the puppet master is it's just like it's just a being. It's like it's beyond having a body.
Yeah, it's bigger than being connected to a certain body and a certain mind.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about philosophy for like 2 minutes?
Let's go.
Yeah, it led me on like an interesting path, I guess. So specifically, like I was reading about Descartes, who's a philosopher from many, many years ago. He very famously said, "I think, therefore I am," which I think is like a hot topic in a way from AI.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah. He also kind of described that like there's two modes of existence, and that like a mind can exist without a body, but a body can't exist without a mind, which I guess is kind of what the whole film is kind of getting at.
Yeah.
Like a shell can be like autonomous, but it's not alive. It's a free thinker. It's not a soul.
Yeah, it's just there in a way.
But I guess that's like the common fear with stuff like AI and computers is like where the human race is so concerned that they're just gonna like come alive and turn all of the computers off or something. Yeah. I feel like this is like a crazy comparison to make, but throughout the 20th century, like so much sci-fi came to being because obviously like medicine and technology was all like developing so quickly, and then like all of the work by Philip K. Dick, is particularly Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Yeah.
That's like such like a contemplative and philosophical book, like kind of created being, created to think itself in a way. And I guess in that book and movie Blade Runner, it's like yes. But like there was so much fear and intrigue about computers and science.
Yeah, and I kind of understand that because it's so like new and unknown,
Mm.
and we're still kind of back with that fear now. It feels
Yeah.
like with the new development of AI,
Mm-hmm.
and people are like, it's taking over.
Yeah, like
It's happening.
it's some sort of evil
Yeah.
thing. I think people can use it to do bad things, but it's not like inherently. The program itself is not inherently
No,
good or bad.
but I think it's probably worst thing you can use AI for than cheat on an assignment. Eventually.
That's yeah.
Like
That's my only barometer.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden in wars the beings on the front line were AI kind of programmed to shoot at the enemy.
Sure. Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. Because there is like drones that are being steered from somewhere else. Why can't we program things with guns to shoot?
For sure.
But then it's like, how is this going to work if one country is a lot richer than the other country? That's like fucked for the other country.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I really understand that fear, and yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I was like, had been reading about Y2K, for example, and like, people were so afraid.
Yeah.
Of that, like the microwave was just gonna grow legs and
take
like I am the owner of the house now.
This is my house now.
Yeah, but that's just like, how can it be something that we're so interested in, like fabricating some sort of consciousness out of nothing, and then we're like also very afraid of it also happening.
Yeah, it's like a mix of, oh, this is very interesting, and oh my god, we're gonna die if we keep evolving this.
Yeah, a lot to think about for sure.
Oh yeah, and I think everyone should pay attention to what is happening.
Absolutely.
I think this is one of those things where you can't just be like, no, I don't want to know, because so much is happening.
Yeah. And it's very real, and it's very like, so much AI is already used
for everything.
It's in your phone.
It is.
It's the algorithm. It's
everywhere.
Yeah.
And people
all you
should
girlies on TikTok thinking you're escaping AI.
You're not.
You are in the AI.
I think
interface.
most people on TikTok are very well aware on the algorithm and AI. Yeah.
I like my AI on my Instagram because
Instagram or Snapchat?
Because like the algorithm, because it shows me pictures of hot men every day.
That's good for you.
And I'm so thankful.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. And female actresses. That's all. It's like me objectifying men and then watching 30 seconds of an incredible female performance.
Nice.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's how it should be. Jacob Lordy, if you're listening.
Please.
I heard you're single.
Yeah, same. I also heard you were single. Just
either one of us.
Yeah. We don't care.
Come on the podcast.
Oh, please. Let's talk about how we don't like sulfur.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Would you get cybernetic enhancements?
Maybe.
Yeah.
It could be kind of cool.
I think so.
Yeah.
Get some new knees.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But would I still be me?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Ship of Theseus.
Yeah.
Just sneaking it in there.
That's always something that, like, ever since I was a kid, and I'd watch stuff, and it was like people like uploading their consciousness to the internet, quote unquote. I'd be like, but it's not them.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you die.
Yeah.
And yes, you quote unquote exist.
Yeah, but
it's not you. Like,
no.
you're dead.
Yeah. It's not your.
And I'd be like, I don't get it. What's the point then? That's not living forever, because it's not you.
No. And also, would you still know and feel the same as you did when you were alive?
Exactly.
It would be a different experience. It's yeah.
My first exposure to that was in Adventure Time, actually.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it like really, I was like, because a character dies, and in order to see her son again, eventually uploads her. She creates loads of like little robot versions of herself and uploads her consciousness to all of them.
Scary.
But I was like, but it's not her.
Yeah, no, it's like if my parents suddenly showed up in like a robot, but it was their consciousness, it's like, is it still you?
Yeah, exactly.
Because what are we? Are we our arms and legs and our body, or are we our consciousness?
Yeah. Souls
It's
in meat cars.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I lost both my arms and legs and got them replaced with like robot arms and legs, I would still be me. I'm not defined by my flesh, but I am by my consciousness. But yeah, no, it's
T. Period.
this is gonna go way too deep. I'm gonna have an existential crisis later tonight if we talk more about this. I'm gonna like cry and be like, who am I? What am I? Yeah.
Oh well.
Anyway, this was nice.
Yeah. Thanks for coming back.
Of course.
Yeah, and if you made it this far, you'll be excited to know that Caroline will be on next week's episode, and then in 2 weeks after that.
I will.
This season 3 is the season of Carolina.
Yeah, this is Carolina's season.
Yeah, and we're gonna check in with Carolina on her birds and bugs updates.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of bugs out right now in Bergen. It's just snow. It's birds. I saw a tiny bird yesterday. It was very cute.
I saw a wren.
Amazing.
Very, very small, like fully that big.
Maybe we saw the same type of bird.
Oh.
What? We live in the Matrix.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.
This has been a Bergen Film Club production. Our music is by Wise John. Check them out on Instagram at WISEJohnOfficial. Our logo is by Pia Sofia Brentersen. This episode was produced, mixed and engineered by Joel Lawrence. Our researchers are Inke Shilbrai-Bern and Mamina Nazmajid. Want to talk to us about films? Then please send us an email at podcast@bergenfilmclub.com. Follow the show on Instagram and Twitter at TheRealThingPod. Check us out on Letterboxd at BFK The Real Thing. Thank you and goodbye. Listen, follow, leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, or wherever it is that you get your podcasts.